Justice with Judge Mablean will be life because in everything we do, it involves the law.
You came to court to testify about what you heard, what you saw, and what you know.
She's fair.
I don't have a hearing problem. This ear works good. This one works even better.
She's firm.
I'm not responsible for that ticket, and I'm not going to pay for it.
Who says you're not going to pay for it? I make that decision, not you.
She's honest.
What you have to say?
All I have to
Nothing.
say.
This is Justice with Judge Mablean. Alexis Burton is suing Brittany Burton in the amount of $2,569.32. Ms. Burton claims she tried to help her sister start a new life on her own and says the defendant backed out at the last minute, costing her money.
All rise. Both of you raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Court is now in session with the Honorable Judge Mablean presiding.
Thank you, Will. You may be seated in the matter of Alexis Burton versus Brittany Burton. I think this is two sisters, one sister rescuing another, so she thought she was rescuing her from a terrible relationship. And the defendant's sister saying, I'm in love. What happened? So you want her to pay you back all the money that you put out during this rescue?
Yes, I want her to pay me back for the hotel, for the U-Haul, and for the lease. I put a deposit down for a lease to help get her started in life.
$2,569.32.
Yes.
So now tell me what led to you paying for a hotel, a U-Haul, and the deposit on an apartment.
Well, the day of Valentine's Day, I got a call from my sister, and she was in tears. She was falling apart. She was telling me how she was being cheated on. She doesn't have the best boyfriend. And
well, one paper said boyfriend, the other one said husband, so what is he?
boyfriend.
He's my husband. He's my partner.
Did you marry him?
We made a
According
promise.
to the laws of the state of South Carolina?
No, we made a
Then he's
promise
not your
together.
husband. Go on.
So I've heard stories before, but we grew up in an environment like this, and I couldn't see.
Like what?
Well, we had an abusive family life. She saw what our mother went through with our father, and the abuse that went on. It wasn't always physical, but it was a lot of emotional abuse. And I can see all the signs. She's going down the same path, and I can't believe that she wouldn't see the triggers.
Are you big sister?
I am.
Okay.
I told her, don't worry, I'm going to help you. I'm going to come down there tomorrow, and we'll get this sorted out. And she said, okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Did she say she wanted to leave?
She didn't say exactly those words. She said, well, yeah, I need my space. You're right.
Okay, and you told her you were coming tomorrow from where? Where do you live?
I'm 2 hours away. I live in Charleston, Your Honor.
Okay, so you agreed to drive to go and get her a 2-hour drive the next day. About what time of night or day was it that she called you?
She called me about 10 p.m. and we talked for a good 2 hours. So I did all the research online. I looked for hotels, I looked for apartments, I looked to see how much a U-Haul would cost. I mean, this wasn't just, oh, I'm going on a little vacation. This is...
And what was the boyfriend or the husband doing this conversation?
I don't know where he was. She didn't explain
say?
that, no.
What did you tell your sister when you called her about this man you living with?
I called her and I said that one of his coworkers that he's on the work trip with said that he saw him leave with one of his coworkers back to the hotel early and that he saw him give her flowers on Valentine's Day. I called my sister very upset.
So a coworker of your mate called you?
Yes.
At home?
The coworker who called me is a friend that we both share. His name is Brian.
And where was this trip? Out of town?
San Diego.
Okay. And then what did you do after hearing this information?
I tried to call him. His phone was off. So I called my big sister. Your Honor, she's like a mom to me. It's very upsetting for me to be in front of you in a court of law with my sister here. I don't even know why she brought me here, to be honest. I feel like this is a matter we could have handled together. I love my sister. I respect my sister. I appreciate her for trying to help me, but I feel that this was a situation that got completely blown out of proportion. I actually have the text messages here that I sent her. I never said I need to be rescued. I said I just need somebody to talk to. I've been there for her. Your Honor, she has 2 kids, and they don't have a dad in their life. I've seen this before. I was there for her through all of that. I just wanted somebody to talk to.
She's downplaying everything.
Well, you know what? Most victims of domestic violence downplay. But you haven't said there was domestic violence.
No.
You said there was cheating.
Yes.
And most people, when they're going through situations and they are no longer in the heat of the matter, will downplay what the situation was now that she's calmed down versus what was done or said when she was calling you on that night. Been there before, I understand. I know the name of the game. So she can downplay it all she wants. I know the name of the game.
I needed some help. I reached out to my sister. She was there for me. She said, everything's gonna be okay. You just need a little bit of space from him. I agreed with her. I was lost. I couldn't get on the phone with him. I didn't know what was going on. Then the next day, she shows up like she said she would.
Well, what did she? Okay, like she said she would. Okay.
Right. But she had a moving truck with her. Mm-hmm. I had not heard this, that there would be a moving truck there. People come into our house, they start taking stuff out of our house. I have a 2-year-old son, Your Honor. His name is Mason, and he got very upset and very scared. I went outside to talk to him and say, your auntie brought these people here. It's okay. He gets very nervous, Your Honor.
Coming up on Justice with Judge Mablean.
She hates men. She's been cheated on before, but she is the most unforgiving woman I've ever met towards men. That's her MO.
Justice with Judge Mablean. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Alexis Burton, who is suing her sister Brittany Burton for bad debt.
Okay, so they're taking things out of your house.
So they're taking things out of their house. I'm outside trying to calm him down. By the time I come back in, she says, let's go, get in my car.
But if you didn't want to move, all you had to say was, I don't want to move.
Exactly.
Your Honor,
she
we
wouldn't
have
just come with me.
Stop. If you didn't want to move, and if you weren't ready to move then, you would have stopped those people at the front door from taking things out of your house. So don't pretend now, okay? At that moment, you were happy for her rescue efforts.
I'm sorry, I can't agree with that.
So then why did you stop them from moving you?
We have a very unique relationship. It's very hard for me to say no to her because she's been there for me my whole life.
And it's very hard for her to say no to you and to ignore what's going on with you when her little sister calls her hysterical and frantic and cry. It's very hard for her not to do anything about it.
I understand. You have to understand her point of view, though. She is a go-getter. Your Honor, to be honest, she hates men. She's been cheated on before. Her 2 babies don't have a dad.
She just needs too much male attention.
It comes from a place of love, I understand, but she is the most unforgiving woman I've ever met towards men. That's her MO.
No.
I have a more fragile heart, and it's hard for me to stand up to people I love. It breaks my heart to say these things about her right now. I love her. I respect her. It's how can I say to her, wow, you're coming to me to try to help me. You've spent all of this money. You've spent all of this time. It happened so fast. And for a minute there, I was thinking, yeah, maybe this is the right thing for me to do.
Now that's what you should have said from the beginning. That's what I said. Now that it's hindsight and it's all over, you didn't really want that. But at that moment, you accepted that and you were okay with it. But now that it's all over.
I was afraid to go against what she had done.
No, you wanted out then because you were pissed off and mad at him too. Mm-hmm. And your sister told you, I'm coming to get you out of it.
Exactly.
You just said I didn't know what to do. So at that moment, it was okay. It seemed like the right thing to do. You weren't sure what you wanted to do. You were frazzled.
Your Honor, I had a crying child, my sister jumping down my throat. I can't get a hold of my husband. I was in dire straits in that situation. We got to the hotel.
So now she's moved you out, and they've packed up your things from the apartment?
She did everything, Your Honor. I didn't do anything. It all happened so quickly. We get there, and then I start talking to Greg again. And I appreciate my sister, but when we were there, she was just feeding me toxic thoughts about him and about my life. I don't need a man. Look at me. I'm doing this without a man. You don't need a man. Our mom didn't need a man. Everything, you can do this by yourself. But then, Your Honor, I sit there and I see my son crying. Where's my daddy? Why are we not home? Whose house is this? Why are we here? And Your Honor, at that point, I realized my loyalty to my sister cannot be stronger than my loyalty to my son.
You
No,
have to
your
have
loyalty to your sister cannot be stronger than your loyalty to yourself. And you are not doing yourself justice, which ultimately you will not be doing your son justice, because you're keeping your son in this type of environment.
Your Honor,
You didn't
my
have
son,
to walk out of there.
My son does not see any of this.
Come on,
my
come
son
on,
lives.
come on. Lady, look, stop. I'm not going to sit here and listen to this any longer. You are being a typical woman who is emotionally or physically abused and calls for help during those times, and people come to the rescue. And then when you step back, you're mad at the person that came to your rescue. That's why police officers are so hesitant for years. They would not go into these kind of situations because you call them on the phone, hysterical, crying, da, 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 and they run to your rescue. Then when they get there, they get hurt. Or you say, I don't want the person arrested. Or you
I
say, I
understand
don't
if
want to
it's
move
physical,
out. Or
but this is a
there
situation.
is emotional as well as psychological abuse is just as bad as physical abuse. As a matter of fact, it's worse.
And what's going to happen to my son?
Your son, what's going to happen to him? I don't know. But if you don't get your head together, your son's going to be a basket case too. Because your son is going to grow up treating women with disrespect, just like your husband, boyfriend, whatever you call him, is doing you.
I understand that, but the situation
you can live on your own with your son. Many women have raised their sons without the man in their life that's mistreating them or disrespecting them. But I'm not going to sit here now and let you try to pretend that it's your sister's hatred for men that caused her to come to your rescue and to do all this, and you didn't ask her to do it and didn't want her to do it, when you at no time stopped her from doing it. And you took your body with her. And you went to that apartment and you let her put the money down. You didn't say, no, maybe we're moving too fast. Just let me stay in a hotel for a few days. You could have said that. Just let me stay in a hotel for a few days.
She signed a lease.
I thought that I listened to her.
You're blaming it all on her.
I'm not blaming it on her.
It was a thing to do.
I'm saying, yes, I did, until I saw how it was affecting my son.
Coming up,
Toxic. When she says you need to get out of this relationship, you can do better, I'll help you, your son deserves better, you deserve better. What's toxic about that?
Justice with Judge Mablean. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Alexis Burton, who is suing her sister Brittany Burton for bad debt.
And the next time you call your sister, she may not respond. You better get ready for it. Because now you want to blame her. That is so sad. She came to your rescue, now you want to blame her for all of this. And if you have good sense, don't respond. Because at some point you have to allow her to make her own decisions and to do what she wants to do with her life. And you just have to step back. Step back and let her do it. When she's crying, listen, but don't make a move. Don't make a move. It's gonna be a hard lesson learned. It's gonna be harder for you than her. Don't go to her rescue. You become an enabler. She doesn't want you to enable. She doesn't want your help. Until she wants your help, don't give it to her.
I thought she wanted my
No,
help.
she doesn't. She doesn't want it yet. She hasn't gotten there. She hasn't gotten there. When she calls you crying, whine, just listen. Sometimes that's all we need is people to listen. But until she gets to that point, now it was so rude for you to say, oh, she's upset because she doesn't like men and she's a man hater. That is so rude. The woman is not a man hater. She's trying to help you.
That was one sentence extracted from the big situation, Your Honor.
You have been shifting all of this to her, and it's her fault. She came, she's doing all this. She bullied me into it. She's talking in my ear. Toxic is the word you use. Toxic. When she says you need to get out of this relationship, you can do better, I'll help you, your son deserves better, you deserve better. What's toxic about that? You use that word.
There's layers to our relationship, Your Honor.
And that's good. And that's why I'm suggesting to her that the one layer she leave off, and that's running to your rescue.
Coming up.
You're gonna learn a hard lesson. And I hate to see you have to learn that lesson. But that's the only way it's gonna come to you is a hard lesson. Because if you could hear yourself blaming your sister now for coming to your rescue.
Closed captioning provided by You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Alexis Burton, who is suing her sister Brittany Burton for bad debt.
You got to make up your mind. You're a grown woman. You can figure this out, and you will figure it out. I suggest you get into counseling to help you figure it out, both of you. Particularly if you came out of a home with abusive relationships. It has affected your psyche. Whether you believe it or not, it has. It's damaged you psychologically. What you saw going on between your parents has damaged you psychologically, and you need to get rid of that and heal from that and learn how not to follow in your mother's footstep and make the same mistake and repeat the conduct. You don't have to do that. There are many resources available now that weren't available 20, 30, 40 years ago. But only if you want to. If you want to stay with this man forever, help yourself, honey. But learn not to call your sister. When you have those moments that you want to cry and scream, find somebody else to call.
Nobody else
Go
wants
see a
to listen.
counselor and call a counselor. Don't call your sister.
Your Honor, the
I don't want to hear another word from you. Not another word. Because you're about to worry me. Because you're going to learn a hard lesson. You're going to learn a hard lesson. And I hate to see you have to learn that lesson. But that's the only way it's going to come to you is a hard lesson. Because if you could hear yourself blaming your sister now for coming to your rescue, I'm not going to order her to pay you back. Because you did make the choice to do that on your own. You chose to do
with
it.
the understanding that-
No, it wasn't with no understanding. You didn't have a contract. You didn't sit down and talk about it. You thought that was the best thing to do. You thought you were doing the best thing for your sister. And you did it out of love, and you did it out of consideration, and you did it out of a desire to make her life better. That's what you call giving. You gave.
Judge Mablean's verdict when Justice with Judge Mablean returns. Promotional consideration provided by. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean.
You signed the lease on that apartment.
Exactly.
So now as far as that lease is concerned, you're going to pay because now you've broken the lease. And you did sign it. Now, whether you thought it, didn't think about it that night, that's on you too. But you signed it. And you're going to have to take responsibility for that. The U-Haul truck, you didn't sign.
But
The
I
hotel
paid the
bill, you didn't
deposit.
sign. But that lease, you signed. How much was the lease?
The lease was for $1,900 a month, but the deposit was for $1,984.
So that was the $3,800 basically. $3,800. You signed the lease. You're going to pay half of it.
Your Honor, it's a.
You're going to
it's
pay
a-
half of it, and I'm not saying another word. It's not going to be debated. You signed it. Just because you've changed your mind now, such is life. You're going to pay it. Judgment for the plaintiff, $1,989.
All rise.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $1,989.
Al, I love you, and I appreciate everything you've done for me.
I love you, but I can't run to your rescue anymore. I'll be a listening ear, but I think we should get counseling.
This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.